Okay, so this is a premiere, online and offline at the same time. Lovely to have you here. I will be sometimes speaking to the screen, so don't be confused or letting people in. But I would really love to start with an Om. So first of all, find a comfortable seat. Close the eyes down for a moment. Relax the body, maybe feel the body. Inhale through the nose. Exhale completely. Inhale. Just take a moment. Good. Blink your eyes open. So, also hello at home. Today, I want to speak about what are we? Who am I? What is this I? And I don't only want to speak about it, I also want to experience it with you guys. And it's more easy and more simple than we might think. And there's a lot of ideas and misconceptions out there, and maybe we can find a much easier answer to that big question. Because often that feels like, I don't know, or I'm very sure who I am, but not really sure. So the who am I question is a central question in the yoga philosophy. If we look at all times, and not only there, also in most other philosophies, we will find that question at some point, and many different answers. But what we have to consider in this whole question is that the answer is not intellectual. It's not a word I can tell you. It's like, what's the sense of life? I can tell you it's living, but that's neither satisfying nor doing anything else, because it's just a word or a concept or an intellectual answer. And what we look for, actually, I like to call it a whole body experience, but it's a deep sense of the answer instead of just another word for it or a description for it. It's the same when we speak about love. We can have a million words describing love, but it doesn't help us to feel it, right? Let me let those people in. Okay. Hi, guys at home. So when we look at yoga history, we find this question very early on in the first scriptures. And before we speak too much about it, I actually want to make a little meditation to go further into the experience of it, and then afterwards speak about it. I think that makes more sense. So for this meditation, you can lie down or you can relax as much as you want. You don't have to sit like in a perfect meditation seat, but you can. And I want you to close the eyes down. This is not only a meditation, this is also a self-inquiry. So what we do first is we relax the body, and then we go into the inquiry. And to relax the body, the breath helps us. So please slow down the breath. Make it full nurturing and slow. Breathe with the belly. Let the navel move outwards on the inhalation and gently drawing inwards on the exhalation. Allow to relax the face, the shoulders, the neck, and the jaw. And then drop your attention into the center of the body. Feeling fully embodied, fully here, present with the breath. And then take an even more deep inhalation through the nose and sigh out every tension that is still there. Almost as you would sigh yourself into a little trance. And relax everything a little more. And then find back to a very natural breath. Not controlled, just natural. You can also swing the body if it wants to. And listen to that inner point when I will now guide you into the self-inquiry, the answer that comes from the center. The first inquiry is ever so simple. Ask yourself the question, do I exist? Do I exist? And you have to go to that place, which in yoga we call your true nature or your essence, to answer that question. And you automatically go there because it's inevitable. That's the only place that knows you are. Maybe your mind tells you the story, well, I can say yes. I think, therefore I exist. Then remember or try what happens if you ask yourself, do I exist? And you have a pause in your thinking, just for a second. And you will see you still exist. It's not the thought that makes you existing. So I want you now to relax into that place, which has the answer of, yes, I am here. I am. Relax into the I amness. You will find that I am doesn't stop or pause. It's always there. If you're not sure, ask yourself again, do I exist? The second self-inquiry is, am I aware? Are you aware? Are you conscious? That question will reveal that you're aware of existing. It's very simple. Now let's go a step further. And I want you now to relax from your experience of the content of your senses, the content of your thoughts, of your emotions. Relax out of that content into the beingness, the I amness. We are very used to be outside in the world and identify ourselves as someone, as attributes we see, we smell, and so on. But now we relax out of that and further into just awareness, beingness, existing. And you can even blink the eyes open and come back to the space. And there's still a continuous stream of you being here. It doesn't stop, it doesn't go away. So you can stay in that quite relaxed mode which you are in and just listen, and at some point I will also open for some Q&A if you want to know more or test your teacher. And when we start going out into this world, like when we're small and growing up, we come in the mode of pure awareness. We're just like very close to our essence. And slowly over life, we learn all those things. We learn to distinguish, oh, there's me, I'm having an experience, and there's an outside world, and it seems to be separate to me. So we form this identity of being someone separate. And slowly, over and over, we refine that person, that separate entity, subject, that is not part of the rest of the world, and we create this distance. So you somehow grow up, you go to school, and then there are some other people and they call you, you're like this or that, and the teacher says, you're very good in this and you're very bad in this. And then you create a little character, an identity, according to what other people tell you, what society thinks is right to do, what's not allowed in some circumstances. And slowly you build this persona, and you get a name from your parents. I'm Cedric, I'm so and so years old. Now ask yourself the question, how old are you? And did you feel different when you were 10 years younger than now? Okay, maybe your body felt a bit different, maybe your thoughts were a bit different, but were you less existing, less aware of being? Maybe you had different skills, maybe you worked on your emotional whatever, well-being or something, but did you feel different than being now you? Did the you, that essence being, felt different? Age is more like a number we put on ourselves that represents the state of our body rather than the state of your being. And you don't have to believe my words, you prove it by yourself. That's what yoga teaches. Prove it by yourselves. Don't believe the teacher. Question the teacher. Be critical, not over-critic, but be skeptic and prove it for yourself. So we feel the same I amness when we are 5, when we are 15, when we are 30, and when we are 50 or 100. But of course, our senses shape the content of our experience. If we don't see anymore so well, we see the world a bit different. But the feeling of I am is still the same. So let's go back to that persona you create over time. So what is that? You study, you make a job, so you get a title, you collect all those badges of well done, and A plus, or what do you call that in studies? We call it a 1 if you're very good in school. You get those points, like 100 points and so on. And well, yeah, so you put those things on your persona, and then you say, that's me, I am. So self-inquiry, ask yourself, what I am I? What am I? If you now come up with your name, your age, your titles, your doctor degrees, and all that stuff, ask yourself, can I remove that and still be myself? So remove your title. What is your job? Are you still yourself? Remove your name. Are you still yourself? Do you still exist? Remove your, what are you very good in? Okay, remove that. Remove what we are very bad in, so-called bad. So the yogis want to point to a teaching, and that says what we are is not all those collection of titles and names. We are the essence of our awareness. We are beingness, awareness itself. That is the very nature of our being. Awareness. So simple. We just did a meditation of it. So that is one fundamental key teaching of yoga. You are awareness. And I didn't just come up with this. Even though that would be cool. That would be really pushing my ego up my persona. But I didn't. And already Patanjali, 2,000 years ago, came up with it. Other teachers, the tantric teachers, came up with that too. And many others, most religions teach that as well. They just call it differently. And there was a big misunderstanding that this thing that you are lives outside of you or is somewhere a weird, untouchable thing. But let's ask ourselves, what is awareness? Can you grasp it? When you ask yourself that question, do I exist? could you pinpoint, like, there it is? Or is it more a diffuse, like, you know that you are, but it's not your name or a specific sense or a feeling, or it's somehow very hard to grasp, is it? Can you smell it? Can you see it? Can you think it? I don't know, try it out. Okay, now I'm not anymore. I'm still am. So you try to not be anymore. There will be some questions and they are natural. What happens when I sleep or when I'm dead? We come to that. Or you ask them later. But let's go step by step. So it is formless, but it is present, always there, but without form. How do we know it's there? Because it's the very essence of what we are. You can't even deny it because it's so present. And why don't we see it? Because, well, it doesn't have attributes, but also because we're so familiar to it and so close to it that it doesn't seem like something, it's not an experience, like watching a TV show or something, or being joyful. It's that what holds all experience. And we are so familiar with it because we are born with it, we live our whole life with it, and it's always there. It's like the fish in the water that doesn't know that water exists. It's like, well, that's what the world is like. And this, like Rupert Spira, one of a great teacher, he explains it sometimes. He makes the analogy of space. Like if you come into a room, what do you see first? Or when you look around now here, what do you see? Huh? The walls, floor, cushions, people, pictures, the gong, people on the screen. So what do you overlook completely is the space itself in between. We don't see space because it's formless, not graspable. It's just there. It's that what holds everything. Without the space, nothing would be here. So we just oversee space because we are so familiar with it and everything lives in it. So what we focus on in life is only the objects and the other people that we are in interaction, because that's tangible, that has a color, that is distinguishable, it has a form, it has a feeling, a texture. That is what we call content of experience. If I touch something, the camera, the harmonium, other people, that's content, that's sensory pleasure or pain. So awareness is like space. It's ever present, you cannot grasp it, but it's always there. And it's all allowing. I taught that in a yin class. Let me check the time, I don't want to speak too long. All allowing, what that means is when you're very upset, are you still exist? Or does awareness say, no, upsetness is not a thing that I allow? Yeah, awareness says yes to upsetness. When you're in love and when you're like joyful, it says yes, you're allowed to be expressed. When you're in peace, it says yes. When you fight, when you're in war, it says yes. So what religion did is it took those concepts and put it into a name and said, this is God. And then people draw a very old man with a very long beard into the clouds and said, this is God. And he's everywhere and he rules everything. But originally religion probably had the same idea and said like, okay, we need to name that nothingness, that formless, attribute-less thing, no thing. Let's call it God. And people misunderstood, oh, that's somewhere outside of me that lives very far, and that's either I believe in it or not. It's a belief. The yogis just called it a bit differently. They called it awareness or consciousness. And it's the very essence. So you don't have to use the word God, because God is very heavy nowadays as a word, as a term. But most religions originally refer to that same thing. Some people call that source, some call it essence, nature, beingness, universal intelligence, mind. Okay. I want to give you one more analogy. Maybe that goes too far. So what we do in yoga is we celebrate that. And we say awareness is so essential and it's so much us that we want to celebrate that. And that's why we have in yoga tradition names that describe that as a principle. For example, Shiva. Shiva is a principle of consciousness, and that simply describes awareness, that very essence, that ground of being. And now ask yourself the question, where does your body live in? There are kind of two options, more or less. One is like my mind, my awareness lives in my body. And the other question or option is my body lives in my awareness. So number one would be you get born, and through a big coincidence, your mind creates a self-awareness and a consciousness. And when you die, it's done and finito. That is the worldview of materialism. Everything is just a very big coincidence, and that's it. That would be having also no faith. How is that called?
Agnostic.
Well,
Atheism?
huh?
Atheism?
Atheism, exactly. The yogic world view or approach is the opposite. They say consciousness or awareness is fundamental. That's the first thing that exists. And within that consciousness, we create the world and all experience. So the body lives in awareness. And now you could prove that by your own experience and say, okay, I have a body, where does it live? Are you aware of your body? Yes, I am. I feel, I see, I touch. But what is body actually? It is just a mix of 5 senses. Hearing, smelling, touching, feeling, tasting. So our mind forms body, but what we actually experience is sensations. Feel sensations, colors and shapes. And our mind creates a picture out of that. Our mind makes a form and says, this is a separate human to this. There's a separate body, and then it gives it a label. Pretty, medium pretty, not so pretty, very pretty, stupid, friend, enemy. I sometimes ask the question, where does your body start and where does it end? And I have this funny example of a banana. Imagine you eating a banana. When does the banana become you? When you have it in the mouth and you chew it? Or when you swallow it down? Or when it's in the stomach And at what point exactly does it become you? It's already inside, so is it you already? Or is it still banana? Half banana, half you? Then okay, the body takes it apart, takes the energy out of it. Or when you look at it, is it already, or when you think of it, is it already you? So I'm just making this example because I want to tell you the distinction when our body, our self starts and ends is made by our mind, and that's an artificial distinction. So when you could upload your consciousness into a computer, would you be the computer or your body, or what would it be? Like the mind makes the distinction. So most people say, oh, it ends at the skin. But imagine your nervous system could grow into the planet or the earth or wherever, into objects. Then you would also feel, because nervous system gives you the feedback of feeling something, you would feel, okay, I grow my hand into the harmonium, and then if someone touches the harmonium, I would feel it. So I would call that's me too. So then, okay, our nervous system is me. I'll give you another example. Why do you think the skin is the end of yourself? It's one sense channel, one sense perception is feeling, but you have 4 other ones, tasting, smelling, seeing, and so on. Why not seeing is your end? Everything you look at is you. If you would say, everything I see is equally me, like everything I feel is me, then you could say, okay, everything I see is me, because that's another sense perception. Do you get that? So the mind just makes an artificial distinction and says, okay, everything I feel, including inside my skin, that's me. It's made up by the mind. It's healthy though, because that's how we navigate a bit more carefully through life. But it's artificially made by the mind. So let's return to that key teaching. What am I? Awareness. And now, Tantra Yoga postulates that everything that exists is within that awareness. And even modern science sometimes agrees. When you look at those experiments from quantum mechanics, suddenly the result of the experiment changes with the observer. The famous double slit experiment. When someone looks at the experiment, it's another result, as if you don't look at it. So reality is a bit more flexible than we might think, or the dogma at our current science says. And Tantra says, hey, everything is experience, everything is awareness. And please prove it by yourself. If you look at something, where does it appear? Outside of you or within your awareness? When you hear something, the sound of my voice, is it outside of you or within your awareness? When you smell something, anything you do, it's always within your awareness. There's nothing outside. But try to find the corners, the borders of awareness. Maybe you find it. I doubt it, but try it. Try to find something that is not within awareness. All right, let's open it to questions. If you have some questions, just speak up or write it in the chat. If there's any.
So perception. It just filters the reality and how you recognize the environment.
Yeah. The mind and the five senses, they live within awareness. So say the yogis. Meaning the mind renders reality so we can experience as a immersive view. So why is it such a coincidence that our world exists in 5 ways? You can see things, hear, smell, taste, and touch. That's how we experience reality, and we by accident have exactly those 5 senses. It's no accident, it's no coincidence. It's because of the 5 senses we experience the world in 5 ways. So our senses are our instruments to sense the energy floating. So the most fundamental level, according to the yogis, is just energy floating in empty space. And we, as a being, we locate at a specific spot in time and space with 5 senses reaching out, and that's how we experience the world. But this world is still within that awareness or within that consciousness. Does that answer your question? Ask me again, please.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Okay.
So I'm interested to know if everything we perceive is us, when we perceive somebody else,
Yes.
are they part of us as well?
Yes. Where does the other person live? Is it inside you or is it outside you?
In my experience.
In your experience.
Yes. But also
So,
in their experience as well, so it's a nice...
Yes.
Feeling.
Okay, that's a good point. So just to repeat the question for you guys, when I see someone else, do they live outside of me, even though they are within my experience or my awareness? So I give you an example from Rupert Spira, which I like really much, a metaphor to understand this. Imagine you fall asleep tonight in your bed here in Corfu, or wherever you live. And you dream of the streets of Paris. You walk through the streets, there's a busy street life, there's a nice flavor, there are cafe sounds in the background, you have a nice sunshine, you feel the sun on your skin, and in the far back you see the Eiffel Tower. Can you imagine that? In your dream. There are many people around, it's very busy. Okay, now you wake up, Richard, right? Mm-hmm. What do you realize? Oh, that was a dream, probably. But in that dream, you were a separate person, right? You were a separate person like you are in this life. You're walking through the streets with your own body, and you see other people. You see the Eiffel Tower, you have the smell, you even feel the sun on your skin. It feels like real. You only know when you wake up that it was a dream, right? So imagine consciousness is like your mind having a dream. So how many minds having this dream? You are just one person. And in your dream, you see other people. So there's an external world simulated in your dream. They're even objects and they feel super real. You can touch them, you feel the skin, the warmth, the smell. But it's still a dream and it's just virtually created in your mind. So to answer the question, the yogis would say, consciousness dreams the universe. And it's a universal mind, one mind, that locates itself in many different perspectives, you as your body, me as my body, and we still share the same reality. Like we're in the same room, and I see you from my perspective, and you see me from your perspective. But that's the only way how we can experience space and time, when we have a perspective. Otherwise, it's empty, or reality cannot exist. We need space, time. So that's what's happening. The universal mind locates itself within itself and creates itself. That's the yogic teaching behind it. And for us, we have forgotten that connection. For us, we think, like you in the dream, oh, I'm a separate person here in Paris, and I'm walking the streets, because it feels quite real. But that's the ability of consciousness to reveal itself, its true nature, to make this possible, to make the universe appear at first place. And the good news is consciousness also built in the ability to unveil, to return to your essence, meaning realizing, I am awareness, and I'm the one that has created all of this, including body, including mind, including the five senses, and so on and so on. Please.
So what is the aim of everything?
What is the aim of everything?
Why do we do that? I mean, what's the why? What for?
The why, so to say, quoting Rupert Spira again, is the wrong question. Because from the perspective of the one mind experiencing itself, there is no why. There is nothing you want to get, or nothing you want to be, or nothing lacking, or nothing. There actually is nothing, because like a dream, it's just a dream. But nevertheless, there is no, you don't look for a why. You don't look for a reason. Reasoning is a mental concept or mental ability. That's a mind trying to understand something. So as consciousness, you don't ask yourself the question, why? You just exist. That's your nature, and that's the thing, the very thing that is, and that's enough. It doesn't need to be better, more or less, or different. Still, the why question is very beautiful, because from the perspective of someone having this immersive experience of life, the why question is answered by the simple experience of what is. So why is something? Because it wants to be. It wants to be experienced. That is the reason why. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. It's another very deep yogic teaching. If something is, it is because it wants to be. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. It's like the universal mind doesn't dream by accident something wrong. It cannot. Everything that is dreamed wants to be experienced. So in short, would be you're here to enjoy that experience of life. You're here to enjoy joy, love, pain, pleasure, rage, name it. You're here to improve, make the world a better place, and you're here to experience the most dark places. Because consciousness is ever allowing. It doesn't say no to you or to someone or to something. It is like space. And it's not only ever allowing, it's also not touched by it, in a sense. Imagine the space. If we all now get very angry and screaming, do you think the space cares or is affected by it? If we paint the walls pink, do you think the space cares or is affected by it? No, the space just holds all of our experiences. So I have one question from Madeleine. Is awareness samadhi or are they different? So samadhi is, maybe some of you were at the first workshop, samadhi is the highest state which Patanjali formulated as the space of being in absolute silence and totally immersed in so-called nothingness. So the yogis call that shunya, that nothingness, that sometimes called also ananda, bliss state, meaning you don't have an identification of I am here, this body, I'm limited. You just feel infinite space. You can say infinite emptiness or infinite fullness. It's in the end the same because there is no distinction, there's no separation. It's unity. And samadhi is according, it's a word from the Yoga Sutras. That's why I'm referring back to the sutras. They have 7 stages of samadhi, but it's mainly described as that emptiness, which we as a human body can tap into. And that would be just having no thoughts, having no experiences, just being in this blissful emptiness. And awareness is not the same, because even blissful emptiness lives within awareness. So some people or some teachers would disagree and say samadhi is awareness. You could say that maybe, but I wouldn't make a distinction. I would say shunya, the emptiness, is still kind of an experience of nothingness, but still within the realm of experience. And awareness itself has no dimension. It's the very ground of being. So there's a slight distinction between it. So awareness is that infinite nothingness. It is beyond description. It doesn't, we cannot put a word on it. Even nothingness would describe it too much. So it's beyond nothingness, beyond existence and beyond non-existence. It's beyond our thinking and understanding. The mind cannot grasp it because the mind lives as a finite entity within awareness. So we cannot grasp it, understand it, or think it. So that is awareness. Awareness is the ground, the very essence. And samadhi would be coming close as possible into emptiness. And that's why I would differentiate those two. I would not call them the same. Some teachers probably would call them the same. Any other question? I know it's a lot today. I push you into the cold water. For some at home, I know you're more experienced and have heard many of those concepts before. So I think it wasn't too much.
So is it not, maybe not the purpose, but is it more about us remembering or going back to that consciousness or awareness?
Yes. So that's the yogic path. To unveil and to remember what is you, what is the essence of being, of your being. So you get caught up in life and you think, oh, I'm this name with this character and I have this body and I judge this body as that and that. And hello, there's a little animal. And you want to return and just get, that's what in yoga, that's the goal of yoga practice. To realize what I just told you. If you have realized that, you're quite good on the path. Oh yeah, okay, no, I'm not this person which I imagine in my mind, which I have built all over the years. And I am that what is always there, which has no beginning, has no end, which doesn't die, which wasn't born, which just is. The very isness. And yeah, there's not much more. That's it, yeah. That's a practice. Yeah. Later on, there's a second step when you want so, because that's the first step, remembrance back, and also practicing that, practicing to withdraw from all those object world and experiences and to just rest in that pure space of awareness. And then later on, you can also practice to immerse into all experience, because they're also made out of awareness. That's the tantric approach. Meaning you are awareness, and I experience you as a body, but that is awareness too. It's like the dream. The Eiffel Tower is fabric of awareness of your dream, as well as the sun on your skin is fabric of awareness. So there's nothing outside. That's the second realization. And then you can, like in a tantric approach, you can celebrate that and say like, yay, we are all awareness, and we are all everything that is awareness, and all my experience is awareness, and I surrender to awareness. And then the thing what is left to do is just to celebrate that, to enjoy that. And that's why in yoga we just sing to awareness. Because we think that's the best thing to do. Everything else in life is like, I should go and become like, I should put a title on me? Why? I mean, you can do that, enjoy that journey, but you don't have to suffer from not having it or having it and still not being happy about it. You still can go for it. Okay, so anything else?
We actually live in unawareness all the time now? Is that how you would say it?
No, that's why those people who have realized the truth, which I'm speaking about, they're quite relaxed, because they also know your unawareness is as much awareness as everything else. It's just you in your personal persona, you think you suffer throughout life because you have all those problems and all those pains and all the striving to becoming someone, to you feel all this lack of, because you constantly try to get more from life than you have, and in the end it doesn't matter, in a sense. It doesn't matter because you're already full and complete in itself. And you misidentified yourself with something you built up in your head. And that creates the suffering. If you can relax out of that persona you want to be, then you can just enjoy what you are, what is, what's happening in your current life. You just enjoy sensory experience. You don't need to qualify it as good or bad, because you know that's the mind putting a label on it. The mind saying, I'm pretty, I'm not pretty enough. And when you say that and you believe that, your suffering starts, because then you have to try to get pretty, because society says that. And as long as you believe that, you suffer. And when you realize, well, it's just a made-up thing, prettiness, it doesn't exist. We just humans call this more pretty and this less pretty, but it's made out of thin air, really. As well as everything else is made out of thin air, except raw sensory experience. That's how you experience the world. And so you can reshape your rewiring, your brain, and say, oh, it's just nice, whatever it comes. It's the subtle joy of living. So that's the only reason why yoga practice is useful. Otherwise, you don't need to bother. But if you suffer, then it's helpful. Let's sing to consciousness. So this is the mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. Please be muted. You don't have to join, you can join. The lyrics are Om Namah Shivaya. What does it mean? It refers to the whole last 45 minutes I was speaking. And it says, reverence to that what is. Reverence to Shiva, which is another word for consciousness. Reverence to awareness, which holds everything, which is everything, which creates everything. Just join in when you feel like it. I hope the harmonium is not too loud, guys. Huh? Not for you, for those guys in the internet. One more time, ask yourself, am I aware? And allow yourself to immerse, to surrender to that place you go to answer that question. Am I aware? If you want, join me in Fornam. Inhale through the nose. Inhale one more time. Shanti, shanti, shanti. Shanti, shanti, shanti. Namaste. Thank you all for being here on location. Thank you to all those people at home. It was lovely to see familiar faces. And I'm really grateful for you guys also in all those countries. I know it's from America to Crystal to, I don't know, Europe. Okay. Have a good night. Bye.